All righty.
Start
And
recording.
we're recording.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Welcome everyone to the Montana State Library Commission's August 12th, 2026 meeting. I'm sorry to be via Zoom, but we're in the middle of harvest. And of course, the Choteau County Fair starts today. So I'm kind of on double, triple, maybe quadruple duty. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, I'd like to call this meeting to order. As your chair, I'm going to work to ensure that the commission has an effective meeting with a transparent decision-making process. I'd like to ask our commissioners and then our staff to introduce themselves. Oh, and Jenny, our faithful leader, is doing her civic duty and has jury duty today, so she is not joining us. So let's go ahead, everybody, and introduce yourselves.
I will start. Hi. I apologize for being late. I'm McKenna. I am the representative from OPI. So glad to see you. Thank you.
Oh, hi, McKenna. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Tom Burnett from Bozeman.
I'm Tammy Hall from Bozeman.
Peggy Taylor from Missoula.
Chris?
Chris Scotts, representative of the Montana University System, librarian at Helen College.
Okay, is Carmen joining us? She was maybe going to join us via Zoom, I believe.
Yeah, I don't see her online.
Okay, she is actually in Switzerland. Sadly, her father passed away, so she is in Switzerland with her family right now. Okay, I have a couple of changes to the. Oh, I'm sorry, staff. Go ahead. Sorry, missed that.
Oh, that's okay. I'm Melissa Briggs, Central Services.
Evan Hammer, digital librarian.
All righty, thank you. Okay, so Megan Peel from DPHHS is not available to attend our meeting today, and Commissioner Carmen Cuthbertson's presentation will be postponed until our October meeting. As I said, Commissioner Cuthbertson is in Switzerland, so we would like to extend our sincere condolences to her and her family over the loss of her father in Switzerland. 89 is a long, well-lived life, but it's always difficult to lose a parent. So, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Tammy. I would like to make sure that we move up in the program two specific items. One is under the quarterly report that was given to the budget committee, or the budget committee report, I mean. The section on page 43 to 47 by the Montanans for libraries was included in our presentation. I'd like to move up a discussion on that a little earlier in the program, please. That's after lunch, and Tom will have to leave after before lunch.
Oh, well, Tammy, with everything cut out, I think we're going to be okay. Because
yeah,
we
I
cut
still-
out, we're cutting out Megan's and Carmen's, so that I think we're going to be finished by 11:30, probably 11:35, probably, may at the latest, possibly
Okay.
12.
I would like to keep a line on that because Tom's leaving 11:45. So if we haven't gotten to it at the latest by 11, I'd like to change the order.
Okay.
Okay, and the
So-
second item I'd like to move up is, I'm not sure, but somewhere on Melissa's report is comings and goings, and one of the goings is Sharon Hardwick from the HR. I'd
Mhm.
like to discuss the HR position. I'd like to move that up, but I'm not sure where that's buried in here. It was in just with Melissa's paperwork.
Right. The HR position, there will, I believe they will not be replacing the HR because it's being taken care of by the state, correct, Melissa?
The HR position is currently vacant, and
and we are working with the Department of Administration right now. They are helping us get the things that we need to get done. But they do want us to recruit for the position in the
Oh, they
future.
do.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just on hold for right now. There's just
Okay.
still going on.
Good.
So,
I wanted to report on that. I wanted to be updated on it.
okay, so,
Yeah, I thought the committee did. Yeah,
so where should we move that to, or can it stay in the same spot and just make sure we discuss it?
where could it fit in the morning anywhere?
So Robin, that's under the
Yes.
standing reports that
Okay, right,
is under Jenny's section.
sure.
And I don't know that it needs to be moved.
Right, Tammy, so from what I can see, it's at 10:45, the standing reports are, because of Megan Peel and both Carmen not doing their
Not me.
presentations.
Okay, sounds good,
Okay.
then, thank you. As long as we make time for the one before 11:45.
We will.
Thank you
That'll,
very
yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you,
Uh,
dear.
Okay, all right. So if we have any questions about Robert's Rules, Commissioner Chris Goss has agreed to help us, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Another reminder, if we're struggling to phrase a motion, I as chair may allow a discussion on how the motion should be phrased, not in all motions, but using my discretion, I may allow a limited discussion in the phrasing of the motion. To be respectful of everyone's time and ours, we really don't have any informal presentations, but if any, I would like them to be less than 10 minutes, and public comments can be limited to 3 minutes, using my discretion to allow more time. Okay, we have staff longevity recognitions, and this is pretty amazing, all of our staff that's going to be recognized. Our first is Troy Blanford. He is the Water Information Systems Manager, and he has been with us for 20 years, and Evan is going to recognize him.
I'm gonna step over here because I feel like it's kind of where we normally do these kinds of things. Also, unless there's objection, there's 3 on here that I've got, and I'd
Okay.
like to kind of hit them all as a group.
Okay, all right, so I'll go ahead and tell who they are. Besides Troy, we have Bryce Maxwell. He is our Natural Heritage Program Coordinator. He's been with us for 20 years. And then our other one is Jen Burnell, and she is our Montana History Portal Director. She's been with us for 15 years. Oh, go ahead, Evan, sorry.
Thank you so much. I think you all remember in our last meeting, we honored Erin Fashaway for her 20 years. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. Here we have 2 more 20-year employees and a 15-year employee. And as I said in that meeting, I just feel so fortunate. I've just had great fortune to be able to have these people that really are committed to and understand their program so well. I think you've heard from Troy on previous occasions. Of course, you see the LiDAR posters around and all the great work that he's doing for the water information system. Similarly, you guys know what the Montana Natural Heritage Program is and the massive amounts of information about our the biology of Montana that they leverage. And of course, Jim Burnell's work leading Montana History Portal and what has grown into the digital repository for cultural information in this state. And, you know, the reality here is that having these people, and it goes back, you know, it wasn't long ago when I was presenting Michael with his award and Jim with another award, having these people with this background, understanding their programs and being able to really run those is what allows me to supervise a lot of people effectively, because it's really them. And so I just want to thank all of them. I've got pins here for Troy and Bryce, and I'll get chins to her shortly. But if you guys want to say anything, you may have the floor. Thank you, Bryce.
Just thank you, Evan. And it's gone so fast, the 20 years. I think that tells that I somewhat like it, right?
That's
gone fast.
I'll say the same thing. It's really gone fast. It's amazing how that much time has flown by, but it's been a lot of fun and yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to meet both Bryce and Troy very early on. Well, Bryce was with the Heritage Program at the time, but before Troy or I were here at the library. And so it's been really fun to work together, over all these years. And, Jen has been the most recent for me to be supervising, but I remember her starting, 15 years ago, and it's really hard, just like you guys say, it's really hard to believe it's gone so quickly. So, thank you, Jen, as well. And I've got your pen and we'll get that to you soon.
Okay, thank you, all three of you. A great feat. Go ahead, Jen.
I just was saying thank you. That's all.
Well, thank you. Okay,
Thank you so much. That's so important.
yes, we appreciate it. All right, next, since Bryce is here, we'll go ahead and recognize Scott Bloom, who is a biologist and information specialist who's also been here 20 years.
Yeah, Scott, got here, I think, 2 to 3 months before I did, so he's got me by a little bit. I think what I want to say about Scott is it's really important that we're recognized as having the authoritative data for species and habitats in Montana. And Scott has hand-checked more records than anybody in the history of our program in terms of maintaining that QA, QC of data and ensuring high quality data. And he's also probably answered more mediated requests than anybody in our program. So he's had the most outreach to anyone in the state. And the final thing I want to say about Scott is he's just like this straight arrow person that has a great moral compass. And I actually have used Scott twice with my son as this is how you should do something.
No.
And so, thanks, Scott, on that front to be a upstanding person. So, and I have one more person.
Okay.
Dan Balkin. So I'll just.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And so Dan is our senior zoologist, and Dan, I was the senior zoologist before Dan, and it's always like, oh, I hope this person can do as good a job, and he definitely has. There's just no doubt about it, right? Like, he first hired him in 2008 on what was called a diversity monitoring crew, where we were surveying for everything from bats to rodents to reptiles, amphibians, kind of involves like staying up around the clock to do these things. And Dan just instantly became a leader of those crews and was helping people out that weren't into it as much as he was. He's super into it and super geeky about things, and I really appreciate that. And, what I think Dan really brought to the program that I didn't have was he has programming skills in R that have allowed him to kind of mass produce things and do things more efficiently than I did them. So really appreciate Dan. Dan's not around today. He's out in the field today. So thanks to Dan.
All right. Great. Thank you, both Scott and Dan. We appreciate it. Okay, and then let's see, we've got Bob Cochran was our 911 GIS analyst, and he's been here for 20 years. Good grief, you guys. This is great. Lots of years. And he's being recognized by Michael Fashaway, correct?
Yes.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just really pleased to be here to recognize Bob for 20 years. That's a long time. Bob has not always been with the state library. He originally started with the Department of Revenue and had a short stint there before moving on to FWP. He was with FWP, Fish, Wildlife and Parks, for 10-ish years. A good portion of that actually, at the time, those Fish, Wildlife and Parks GIS staff were co-located in the state library building over in the Missouri building when we were out there. So while we always didn't necessarily directly work with each other, we were on the same floor and seeing each other a lot. And when I moved over to the library in 2011 or so, that's probably when I started running into Bob a little bit more and seeing him, and just kind of recognizing how great all those skills were within that FWP team and everything like that. After his 10 years or so with FWP, he moved over to Department of Justice and was there for approximately 5 years, I think. Working with Highway Patrol and doing other stuff in their IT. And then in fall of 2011 is when we were kind of starting up a lot of our 911 support for the PSAPs through that legislation that had passed. And that's when we created that new 911 GIS analyst position and hired Bob. And I'll admit, like, at the time, I was kind of the only one here at the library that really kind of knew a lot about 911 GIS. And that 911 GIS analyst support position was all pretty new, and I'll be honest, I wasn't sure exactly how that was gonna manifest itself. We knew the counties, the PSAPs needed some level of support and help, but weren't quite sure exactly what that would look like. But to Bob's credit, he came in with very little background and all that, and immediately recognized the need at that level for support, specifically around workflows and simplifying what are kind of complicated standard data models that hold all this data. He recognized the need for addressing and good addressing data and getting that squared away. So you really kind of hit the ground running with that. Immediately started building some tools in ArcGIS that kind of streamlined workflows. And then started just reaching out to all the counties and the PSAPs, working with whomever would return his emails and calls. And that just started building so much to the point where kind of word started getting out, and other states were hearing about the work Bob was doing and started calling us and reaching out. So he actually got on multiple calls with different states, kind of explaining what we were doing here. And some of those states, I think, took some of the things he'd done and started implementing it. The other thing I want to really highlight is Bob has a really unique, I think, blend of kind of soft personal skills as well as kind of your more technical skills in GIS. And that's not always easy to find for GIS. Some of us tend to be a little more introverted engineering mindsets. But Bob works incredibly well with folks and has done a lot of work just building relationships across the state with all these counties and PSAPs he's working with. So much to the point, like, he actually kind of won over someone who was originally kind of skeptical of MSL's role in terms of doing this 911 GIS support. So to me, that's, says everything it needs to about the work he's doing. The other thing I wanted to mention is, and I think it's been mentioned before, but earlier this year, Bob was awarded the Montana Geographic Information Professionals Distinguished Service Award. He was actually nominated by 2 different counties independently. They didn't know the other county was nominating him. So again, like, he just has a lot of support, a lot of enthusiasm for all the help he's provided out there. So yeah, just in closing, he's had a very distinguished 20 years, and I think we're all very fortunate. I am to have him here at the library doing the work he's doing. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Wow. Yeah, our 911 system has improved so much. It's great. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I just wanted to say how grateful I am to be where I am right now. I'm not the I am mode.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
awesome. What a blessing for you.
Thank you, Bob.
Madam Chair, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure. Yes.
Twice on the news last week, LiDAR came up and it was kind of exciting, but one was by a fellow at U of M who had invented some kind of app, and he had LiDAR the height of every tree in the state of Montana, and I bet you knew about that, right? I thought you
Yeah, I'm
probably
aware of
did.
that. Do you know if it
Somebody
was
was.
through the university?
You was through U of M,
Okay,
and they made
yeah.
it free.
Yeah.
And then there was another fellow in Missoula that was on the next line for 5 minutes, and he has a new app that spots all the animals, like certain animals, and he's got them out there. I think he might charge, I'm not sure. He's not doing it for free, but I wondered if you knew about that.
We do.
Oh,
We do.
good.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. we
I
do.
figured you did, but
Yep.
as soon as I hear LiDAR on the news for 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. So thanks for getting
Yes.
with them, especially with U of M, that they're making it free.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they've linked me in on some of that. We're aware of it and we've shared it with people as well.
Yeah, they said that the tree
Interesting.
heights is real helpful to the firefighters.
Yeah, you know what's amazing about it? They're actually getting those tree heights just from imagery, from
Yeah.
aerial imagery. But then they can use the LiDAR to spot check it, so they can be
Mhm.
certain in their model that it's doing a really good job.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank you. It,
Easy. Easy.
as
All
you
righty.
sound, you understand it better than the news lady.
Okay, next we'll have Pat Jackson, who is GIS technician. He's been here for 5 years and he's going to be recognized by Troy Blanford.
Yeah, I think Pat Jackson should be online, right, Pat?
Yeah.
I think I saw you in the waiting room.
Yep, I got in here. I had some trouble, some passwords, but I am here
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Yeah, my pleasure to introduce Pat Jackson. He's been with us 5 years. He's one of our GIS techs. And Pat doesn't realize this, but for my 5-year employees, I do top 5 lists. Once they get to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it gets too long. Damage of that. So here we go, Pat. These are the top 5 things to know about Pat Jackson. Number 5, passionate about natural resources data. That's why we hired him. We brought him on to support our partnership with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. So he's got a background in natural resources information. And before we hired him, he was with the Yellowstone Ecological Research Center. He was studying ungulates there and browsing habits. Number 4, Pat Jackson, creativity. And this is one that I think you admit, Pat, that maybe even is surprising to yourself just a little bit. So when I first went to Pat, we were doing these LiDAR posters and stickers and all kinds of outreach stuff to just get word out about LiDAR and get people to come up to our table and talk to us. And when I approached Pat about it, he said, oh, I'm not sure. I'm a little bit hesitant there. I don't really have the creativity or the design. He went for it. Anyways, he went for it. And he did an awesome job. He's behind a lot of the stickers that we've probably shared with the commission, the bear and the trout, and some of these posters as well. So that's been a
Right.
pleasant surprise for sure. I can look to him to do some design work and some of our outreach. Number 3, he sticks with us, dedicated to MSL. And what I wanted to highlight here is he's been through a couple of term contracts. So 1-year term contracts, and those have come up within a week or 2 of ending, and he stuck with us, and so just stuck with us throughout and shown that he believes in the state library. Number 2, the primary contact for LiDAR data requests. So when the LiDAR data request comes in, it usually goes to Pat. He's the one that's handled those. I estimate that he's handled about 1,000 requests in the last 2 to 3 years. And, that's an impressive number, but especially when you think of LiDAR is just really big data. So he's sending gobs of data, transferring gobs of data to people. And number 1 thing you should know about Pat Jackson, conscientious and courteous customer service. This always stands out in his performance reviews. He's just really good with customers. I remember 5 years ago when talking to one of Pat's job references, that's what they highlighted. They said Pat is one of the most courteous people they've ever met. So it's certainly shined in his work with customer service. He's on our kind of front line there. He's the first one to take, he's our tier 1 push request to come in. Just in that regard, whether the patron's frustrated or friendly or whatever they're up to, Pat's just always really level-headed with everyone. He's got that right attitude to support people. So Pat, thanks. I enjoy working with you, and congrats on the 5 years of service.
Yeah, thank you for those kind words, Troy. Feel very lucky to have started my GIS career here and gotten to learn from all the amazing analysts and leadership at the library, and hopefully can get to some of these bigger years like the rest of everyone today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for not going through the portal.
Yeah.
And I just passed around to the commissioners that are here, the fish sticker. So they can all.
Oh,
Cool.
save one for me, Evan.
Yes, absolutely. We'll get you one.
I love all those stickers. They're great. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, since Jenny's not here, we're not going to have Tracy Cook be recognized. Jenny was going to be her recognizer, so we'll wait until our October meeting for that. And I did receive a text from Carmen at 4:12 this morning. I didn't check my text messages this morning, so, but Carmen did ask to be excused. So she has things going on, I guess, in Switzerland, which is just fine. Alrighty. Okay, let's go ahead to our other business items. Thank you, everybody, for all your service. We appreciate your dedication to the state library.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can I
well,
suggest that you meet with some of the news people? Because if they're covering these people, I really think they could cover you. And I think it'd be real helpful. And it seems like those people approached them. So I think if you went to the local Helen, because we get the Helena, we get the Butte, we get the Missoula. I don't think you'd have to go in and see too many of them. But I think it would be a good way to have them go to you for the source. And it would be great for them to hear what you're doing. I think they do a story on it. So. Be good.
That's a personal skills one, I'll leave that alone. Thanks, guys.
okay, alrighty. Okay, are we ready to go on? It's kind of tough being over here. All I see is one teeny little square of all of you, so I don't know who's still talking or anything. So excuse if I'm interrupting anyone. Does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? This contains June 10th, 2026 meeting minutes.
I would
Okay.
just comment how good the minutes were.
They were really good. My only, and only because it's me, but on page 15, my name was misspelled. All the way through, it was ROBYN. And then on page 15, all I can see is springing out at me is ROBIN. But it doesn't matter. We don't need to change that. I don't care. So let's go ahead and, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so moved.
I'll
Is
second
there-
it.
Okay, thank you. It has been properly moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing as there is none, we will now vote on the motion, which is to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, the consent agenda has been approved by a voice vote. Okay, we'll go on now to the FY 2027 Montana State Reference Network budget that was handled by the Finance Committee. Is there a motion concerning the FY 2027 Montana State Reference Network budget?
I so moved to pass it, accept it.
Is there a
I'll-
second?
I'll second it.
Okay. It has been properly moved and seconded that we accept the FY Montana State Reference Network budget. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Tom.
We had a fairly lengthy discussion during the budget committee on Monday. This is a good time for some of those details to be seen and heard by other members of the commission. Maybe we just ask Evan to give us 2 minutes.
I think I don't know if that document is available, but the Finance Committee was presented with a document that included some background, history of real-time network work in Montana, more recent history of finances associated with the real-time network, and then 4 concepts of ways to move forward with the real-time network. You want me to talk through each of those?
Sure.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Evan. Yes.
Yeah, one is maintaining the status quo, investment in the network. The second one is a streamlined approach, basically only covering what we could cover with existing income and cash reserves we have for the network. The third is to actually increase the investment. This was based in part on a consultant's report, our outreach consultant that had worked with us and suggested that to really grow and benefit from outreach efforts, we needed to invest more in the outreach side of things. And then the fourth was a process to basically decommission the real-time network, which would phase it out at the end of the current fiscal year.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
so we discussed items 2 and 4. We considered pros and cons of number 2, but the committee landed on number 4, which is the decommissioning within the year or within this fiscal year, I guess is the technical way of saying that. There was concern about some subscribers who just come on to the system in recent weeks. But it was thought that with proper notification that could be handled tactfully. There was some concern about the reduction in force because there's one employee that this directly affects. And we talked about the statutes and procedures that are required through Department of Administration to handle that correctly. We talked about a possible way of acting faster than within the 11 months. There's money in the devoted account to keep the thing going for 11 months and serving the 78, 80-ish subscribers, as well as the educational and MVP subscribers. But the main concern is with the commercial subscribers. Some concern was given to the financial ways of making this happen possibly faster. And it was expressed that there's some accounting duties that would go into that. My personal perspective is that it could be done faster than 11 months. Because it involves getting data on the subscribers and when they came in, when their subscription ends, how much they've paid, and how much they would need to be rebated. That's one data tranche that I think is fairly easily obtained. And then it would need to be manipulated, so calculated what their rebates would need to be, which is very easy. And then notification given and checks issued. So if the reduction in force could be done at the 6-month level, I believe that the accounting task is not prohibitive. So that some of the 155,000 that resides in that account now that could be used to keep it alive for 11 months would then be stranded in the fund. If stranded is a proper term, there would be money left. And that money is there at the direction of the legislature, but that could be unwound soon.
We should use it in other areas?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But the legislature would have authority over those funds.
Okay. But as a committee, we did decide on number 4, ending it, and part of that number 4 was extending it to June 30th. We need to get legislative okay, correct, Melissa, to even do this.
We need to look into that further because we just need to know for sure if we need to do some more legislative action, additional legislative action to unwind the statute that currently exists.
Right.
So
So
that's
we,
unanswered at this point.
right, we do need, we probably need that year, Tom, to get the legislative stipulations completed since they aren't in session, correct? Or am I wrong?
If it does require further legislative action, then we would need through the end of this session, which would end in May.
Okay.
To complete
So,
that.
right, so if we do not know what time period it's going to be or the extent of what's going to be going on.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Tammy. Then could I suggest that we approach the legislature with the clarity that we would like to be done in 6 months? But we're willing to wait 11 if that's their requirement and find out which one it is so we can take action.
Madam
Well,
Chair,
we would have to change the whole motion then. Go
Well,
ahead.
this isn't an action motion, is it? It's
Yes.
just discussion. It's an action.
It's an action. Yes.
Oh,
yes, so I agree that that was the decision of the subcommittee. And so I think you're right that, that's what's being forwarded to the commission. The commission could do something different.
mhm.
It could amend the
Right, correct.
report. On a second subject, which is what the legislature thinks. It might be advisable.
I just want to clarify, that it's not, what we need clarification on is not what the legislature thinks. It's if it is required to undo the statute that is currently in place, because the statute does direct the state library to operate this program. So we just need to know if we need to undo that statute or if it's okay to leave it.
Was that
If we
part of
don't
what was given
operate the
to the
program.
commission when they asked to know what was involved in leaving?
This was a discussion that came up in the finance.
In the
committee.
Yes.
Because that was one
The
of the
role of the
requirements.
legislature.
Yes.
Statute.
It was.
Yeah, because one of the asks was that the committee be given everything necessary to exit. So that was not in there at that time,
Well,
but it
So
is
the-
something.
so you're saying that we don't know exactly what the legislature will say, and that should have been included in our information?
Yeah. Sounds to me like number 4 was not presented complete.
Well-
Because it would have included the exit. Am I
Yeah.
wrong, Evan?
It's a matter of interpretation.
Okay,
Number 4 was presented at the request of the commission as a path towards phasing off the network. As it is a year process to phase off the network, that includes any necessary time for any legislative conversations to happen.
so if you're looking for a motion, I think I'm ready to make one. Well, we already.
We already have a motion. We already have a motion on the floor as to accept.
The original
The-
budget, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, would you go back and read it?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Leslie, do you have the original motion? Can you? It
The
was, go ahead.
Are you asking for the motion that you all just made?
Yes, it was. I
To ex-
asked, is there a motion concerning the FY 2027 Montana State Reference Network budget? And it was
Tammy
so
made a motion
given.
To accept it.
To
Tammy
accept
made a
it.
motion to accept the MTSRN budget.
Right, and that includes what we had said, which was the number 4, correct?
Okay. Is there
No.
need to edit that? I don't think that, I would like to withdraw my motion. It was not clear. My motion was not clear to what I was saying, so that's my fault. I accept it. I withdraw it. Would you withdraw your second?
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm confused on what
Yeah, I don't
actual
think we,
budget is. To me, it was the original budget.
yeah.
And then you
that's-
guys, the subcommittee has to
have
do
given
a
us
different, yeah,
yeah.
different motion.
We should have said on this motion, the subcommittee report.
Well, you have to discuss it.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Okay.
Okay, so remove my motion and Peggy's removed her second. I'm ready
Okay.
to make. Okay, my motion is that we accept the budget committee plan to implement number 4 of decommissioning either within the year or within 6 months, depending on our results of our discussions with the state.
I seconded.
Sorry, I'm taking notes quick.
That's okay, I think who's doing it, our note takers in the other room, right, Alyssa?
Do you need something?
No, I'm asking, is she in the other room taking
That's-
notes?
Yeah, we have a staff person
Yeah.
taking notes.
She used to be in here, so that's what's different.
Okay, so it has been properly moved and seconded that we accept the budget. Okay, sorry, the Finance Committee's budget plan to accept number 4 to decommission the MSRNT within 6 months or within the year, depending on the conclusion found from the legislative branch of the state. Is that clear enough?
It's very accurate.
Uh.
And Tom seconded it.
And Tom said, right. Okay, is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it is possible to request legislative services legal department for guidance on this rather than waiting for the legislature.
We would, I think that our next step would be to confer with the governor's office and to get their recommendation on how to approach this.
So, Madam Chair, there are ways to get some information as to the time frame and the need for changes of statute or not within a short amount of time.
Okay, do we, my question is, do we have the authority to refund to subscribers, Melissa?
I can't say for sure, but it does seem reasonable, yes. Because that's part of operating a program and that's what our
Sure.
statute allows.
What I was asking Melissa, Robin, was my motion clear or does it need to say legislative committee and Department of Administration? Is it clear there? Do you want it? Is that clear enough for you?
What I think I hear, let me start by just saying that to make sure the direction is clear. What I hear is that we are being directed to decommission the program as soon as possible,
Mhm.
which means if there is no change in statute required, then to decommission the program and give refunds within 6 months.
Right, and you were gonna check with whoever you have to check with to make that.
Correct.
Yeah. And the.
Would you repeat that? Yeah, okay. Would you repeat that,
No.
Melissa? Decommission the program as soon as possible with legislative approval?
No.
To decommission the real-time network as soon as possible, which includes verifying if we need to adjust statute. And if we need to adjust statute, then we have through the end of session or the end of the fiscal year. And if we don't need to change statute, then within 6 months.
Okay,
Is that
Yeah.
fair? Is that
I
right?
think so. I would just add,
It
this is
it was-
my suggestion. Take it for what you will. that motion started with language about accepting the finance committee's recommendation. And that was not the finance committee's recommendation, so I suggest
Oh.
that would be removed from the motion.
Oh, I see, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Your discussion with the finance committee. I guess it should say that. I don't know. After discussing.
No,
that's
we
what-
didn't, we didn't discuss 6 months. We discussed just the decommissioning within 12. So, yeah, we wouldn't be able to even say the discussion within the committee. Would we? Am I correct?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
that meeting's minutes are online. Or, you know, they're on record. I
Correct.
think during that meeting, I discussed a shorter time frame, maybe not 6 months. I do not remember.
But it's
Something shorter than the fiscal year cutoff.
So it would be in the record.
I'm trying to pluck that out of my brain, which is not coming up.
Pluckable.
Yeah, it's not pluckable right now.
I just want to make the motion clear and simple and
Right.
to staff. And I think it makes the point that we just are leaving them room to gather information and then bring it to us for action on the final based on the information gathered. I think that's fairly clear.
Okay,
I think-
I would like you to restate your motion.
Okay.
We're
Are we-
at it right now.
Yeah, can we see is she making the motion?
We're not
I need to, yeah,
too confusing.
I thought
Yeah.
that's what she did, is write it and then show it to us and then we put it up there.
It doesn't work.
Oh,
Robin, do you have it written down or Tammy can just read?
I have, yeah. So compared to what you said, it's a little different. It says, we will accept the finance committee's budget plan for the Montana State Reference Network to accept number 4, to decommission within 6 months or within the year, depending on the conclusion found from the legislative. Can't see that. I can't read my writing. Sorry, the legislative something division. Just to depending on the conclusion found from just the legislative decision-making process.
Could I make a recommendation that we simplify the motion?
Thank
and,
you. I would appreciate that.
Perhaps just say, I move to decommission the MTSRN within the year, but sooner if legislative action is not required. And we understand what that means.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, would you, okay,
Motion on the table. I don't
Madam
know.
Chair, we have a pending motion
Yeah, we should.
we
Yeah, we
do,
have-
we
I
do.
would-
dispose of.
I'd rather erase my motion, make it again the way you wrote it, so.
Can we withdraw it, Chris, again?
We can withdraw mine and.
Okay.
For any member of the commission, the motion could be withdrawn and we would be back to the
Yeah,
agenda.
so
item.
my motion is we will accept the budget's recommendation to decommission at 11 months or sooner based on input from the Department of Admissions.
No,
Just on-
No.
That's even
No.
simpler.
Decommission the MTSRN within the year if legislative action is not necessary.
Right,
About,
but we also are going to talk to the Department.
or sooner. If, I know, but that includes legislative, I mean, that is in theory, legislative action is
Encompassed.
encompassed within the year or sooner.
Okay.
Okay,
based on-
decommission the MTSRN within the year or sooner if legislative action is not necessary?
I would
is
move
that-
that.
Is
So
that,
that's fine, I would
okay.
move that.
okay,
All right,
So
I have
you're-
a question. Madam Chair, I have a question.
go ahead, Peggy. Go ahead.
What's the process if you go to the governor's office and the governor's office says, no, I want this program to remain, what do we do?
That's a great question that we can't answer right here.
Yeah, bring it back.
It's a, Madam Chair, a similar thought that I had, Commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah, Senate Bill 60 from 2003 right now, and it says it's intended to be codified in the part of Title 22. And the first sentence, the first section of that bill is the state library shall administer a state reference network to provide real-time geospatial. State library may enter into contracts, library commission shall adopt the rules. It doesn't give the library commission the authority to disregard
That's what we're asking.
the legislation that was approved by the legislative branch and then signed by the governor's office. And so that is the law as it currently says. I think
So we're basically jumping the gun. Okay, what was that? That was in 2003 or 2023?
2023.
But that's what we have asked. Can we go back and find out if it's okay? I think that's in the motion.
So Commissioner, you're voting, or asking the commission to vote to decommission. the
No,
program
we're asking.
pending. No, please, let me try and articulate.
Yeah, let him finish, please.
You're asking the commission to approve a motion to decommission this program based on a schedule that would be set by the Legislative Services Division or Governor's Budget Office. We don't have the authority to decommission. The legislature has already authorized it. The governor has signed the bill
Yep.
stating that it will be in place and established the fund. That leads to several questions about the staff. I understand there's a reduction of force process with the Department of Administration. The remaining funds, we don't have the answer to how those funds would be administered. My question is, does this action have to be taken today? Or could we set this aside, get the answers, and then revisit that at the October? In the meantime, we still haven't adopted a budget for this fiscal year for this program. You have a motion pending to decommission the program, but we haven't approved the budget for the use of the funds as the legislature has authorized the commission to manage. I think we have a couple of moving parts as well as a statutory obligation to carry out that hasn't been removed yet. And so I just have a lot of questions that we might need to get answers to before we take any action on just to make sure we don't run afoul of governor's office, legislative branch, get a memo later or some other type of directive saying, what are you doing? So that's my thoughts. I'll probably resist the motion for those reasons.
Okay, so
Madam
ahead.
Chair.
Yes.
That entire statement he just made in the motion is that we all recognize beforehand that this has been appointed by the state. We recognize that. We recognized it was appointed. We recognized by the legislature. And we said we want to find out the legal consequences and the possibility of what that entails. So that's already in the motion.
No, Madam Chair, you made a motion to decommission.
No, I did not,
And
based on.
ignore the law.
No, I
That's what
did
you're
not,
asking.
sir. Please read the motion.
Can I just
The
make a
motion
comment?
says we will accept the budget's recommendation to decommission based on further study. I did not say to cut it without further study, and I think that's a misrepresentation.
Can I confirm on it? Melissa's motion that said that we would base it on the legislature's decision, not the legislative division. So I think we're just getting a little heated here with the.
Yeah, we
wording.
said it.
Madam Chair, could I?
Yes.
Make the recommendation that, the governor's office is online and is ready to comment on this, and I think that might be helpful.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yes, please.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Nancy, go ahead.
This is Nancy Hall from the Governor's Budget Office. I've been the analyst for the library for 21 years. And I was just looking at the statute, as the gentleman just spoke about, that says the state library shall administer a state reference network to provide real-time geospatial location data for any location within the network. And I believe as long as that is a statute in law, that you have to keep this running. I do know that the library proposed to the budget office that you decommission. It is in consideration. A message was sent back that work with those people, MDT and the others, to see if they would take it over and whatever. And I was in on the meeting on Monday. I listened to the meeting on Monday, and I've kind of been tracking this. It would be my understanding that if you want to decommission this, you would have to have a bill in session in the 27, now 29, whatever next year is. 27
right,
session,
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
The 27 session that repeals the 22-1-230 and 22-1-231, which were put in place by the bill referenced in 2023, a few minutes ago, that was in 2023.
Okay.
I can tell you that the administration and the budget office would not be opposed to this being decommissioned, because it hasn't been, for all the reasons that you are looking at decommissioning it. But I don't believe that you can decommission it and reimburse people before the end of the year, because statutorily, and again, I am not legal, so I don't know that. It would be good to go to legal and have that checked out, but I don't believe you can end it until the end of the fiscal year at the very minimum.
Okay. Okay.
So, Madam Chair, can I be recognized?
Yes.
Why don't you just amend the motion to say ask for a cleanup bill in the 2027 legislative session?
Okay,
That solves the issue.
that's all.
Okay.
So tell me that again, Ken. I can't hear you that clearly. I'm sorry.
Tammy can amend the motion for this to be a cleanup bill in the 2027 legislative session. Obviously, it's up to finding a legislator to carry it for the library and all sorts of other things, but that can be a motion for us.
Okay. We will accept them. We will.
Okay, I need to have, yes, go ahead.
We will decommission.
Hold on. Okay.
Sure, you have a pending motion that's been seconded to adopt option 4 pending advice from the Legislative Services Division. So that motion would need to be disposed of before there were any alternatives.
Okay, so we need to go through and ask. I need to go through and ask if, sorry, just one second here.
I ask that my motion not be seconded until we all agree it's acceptable.
Have we set, was it seconded?
No, well, that one, we are removing that one, but we're making one now as a committee.
Hold on. Let's go back just a second, Tammy. Chris, do we need to go ahead and vote on that?
Similar to Commissioner Hall's previous 2 motions, if there was no objection that it be withdrawn, then it could be, we would be back to the original agenda.
Okay, so we can withdraw it again?
There's no objection.
Okay, I don't object. Does anybody else object?
You request a withdrawal.
I did request withdrawal and Tom pulled out a second, so it's done.
Okay.
And this one, I will help get everybody's input before we seconded it. It's going to be very short.
Okay, go ahead.
We will move to decommission the funding based on the research done with the legislature.
I think just saying, let's make a motion to seek a cleanup bill regarding that. That
Okay.
way.
So we
Okay.
we will decommission.
Well, don't even say decommission. I say let's seeking a cleanup bill regarding the
Okay, option
decommission.
4.
Option 4, that.
We will seek a cleanup bill on option 4.
Yes, perfect.
Which is to end MSL involvement with MT, SRN.
Concerning,
Doing it.
It's already.
What?
motion for-
we don't
Well-
have to say that?
I think you do have to put what option.
If you say option 4,
Because people don't know that yet, because.
Option 4 concerning the MT.
We will accept.
Concerning
cleanup. Option 4, which will be commission.
Hold on.
Here.
We will seek a cleanup bill on option 4. For the MSRNT. What is the acronym for that?
MTSRN.
Okay, thank you. So we will seek a cleanup bill on option 4 for the MTSRN program period? Or no?
I would do what option 4 says, and MSL involvement with the MTSRN, if you want it to be clearer.
Okay, hold on. With involvement, okay. We will seek a cleanup bill on option 4 with. I've got to get to I've got too many papers going on here.
It's the problem of writing a bill before we have a discussion. I never thought that system worked. It's crazy.
Hold on, okay. We will seek a cleanup bill on option 4 for the involvement of the MSL in the MTSRN program. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Read the whole thing again.
Okay, we will seek a cleanup bill on option 4 for the involvement of the MSL in the MTSRN program.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
We say for the, to end the.
Hold on. I'm going to okay. We will seek a cleanup bill. Go ahead, Tom. Now what?
To end, just leave out option 4.
I'm sorry. To end
the involvement of MSL in the MTSRN.
Okay, we will seek a cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL in the MTSRN. How about that? Do we even need to add option? We don't have to add option 4.
That's the end. That's the bill. That's the proposal, and I make it.
Okay.
We will seek cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL in the
MTSRN. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. It has been properly moved and seconded that we accept or that we will seek, that we will seek a cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL in the MTSRN. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, question for staff.
Yes.
It's been the previous process and to have the state library request legislation.
We would work through, I don't know, Nancy, if you're still available, is there still time to add this legislation through the governor's office?
Sorry, I was trying to find my mute. I believe if you want to propose it, or you can find a legislator to carry the bill for you.
That happened in past sessions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Chris. What did you say?
Sure, I just had a question. Has there been previous sessions where the state library has requested legislation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
It would have been
Yes.
amazing.
2023.
Yeah.
So it's by request of
The state library didn't request this bill. It was carried by an individual legislator.
Oh,
So this process would be different. And typically when our agency or an agency has a bill request, they go through the governor's office, and the governor's office helps write the bill and find a legislator to carry the bill.
Okay.
And so that's what I was asking Nancy. So that's unclear. We would have to work through that with the governor's office.
And would you make sure that it's clear whether you have to ask the legislator or we can do it individually?
The commission should act as a whole and through the chair.
Right, but we could get certain legislators to come in here and understand what we're asking.
I don't feel comfortable answering that.
Yeah, okay.
Any citizen could ask any legislator to carry a bill.
So as a citizen, we can ask.
But as an agent, if we're doing an agency bill, it needs to go
It comes
through,
to
like,
here. We
Jenny
could have them
needs
come
to
here.
be the one that does it, not us as the commission.
Yeah.
So,
We would ask somebody to come here and ask.
not even that, like Jenny worked for the
Right.
governor's office, so we wouldn't even have a legislator here for that. If they were asking for more information, they just work for Jenny,
Okay,
is what it would be, and Robin.
so our job would be to give her names.
No, we don't have.
Okay, she knows people. She knows.
It's a separate process.
Okay.
We'll be on top of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any
Sorry
further?
about
No. Is there any further discussion?
Just one more question. Going back to what Chris said, are you guys free to operate now, even though we haven't approved your budget? Or does something need to go through so that you can operate as this process goes on?
I don't know if this is the right place for that question, because I don't know. I'm not sure the parliamentary
Yeah.
of this, if this is a question for during the motion, or if this is something that needs to be brought up.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Commissioner,
Yes.
We have to dispose of this, which I have a similar thought. But
Okay,
once
and-
this motion is handled, then we can return to the agenda item to discuss.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm sorry, Chris, there was too many voices in there. Could you tell me that again?
Yeah. Commissioner Taylor asked if the budget still needs to be adopted, and my thought was that we have a pending motion would need to be handled. And then we would need to return to that question as to what the status of the budget is for the
Okay.
current.
Okay, so we can go ahead and move on this motion and then have another discussion?
Correct.
Okay.
We could have that.
All right. Okay, so the motion is that we will seek a cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL in the MTSRN. If there is no further discussion on this motion, we'll go ahead and vote. Okay.
Robin, could you please do a voice vote? An
Okay.
individual vote?
Okay, yes. Okay,
First,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Prior to a vote, we would need to see if there's any public comment.
Yes, yep, I'm going to ask for that right now. Okay, is there any public comment concerning this motion? Okay, seeing as there is none, we'll now vote on the motion, which is we will seek a cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL in the MTSRN. I will now ask for a voice vote. Okay, Tom.
Yes.
Okay, and Carmen is not here. McKenna.
Yes.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Chris.
No.
Peggy.
no,
Robin. Yes. Okay. So the motion to seek a cleanup bill to end the involvement of MSL and MTSRN has been passed. Okay. Let's go ahead and discuss the funding. Anybody? How do we do this? Where do we go from here, Chris?
Madam Chair, I would move that the Library Commission adopt the fiscal year budget for the reference network as presented during the June 2026 commission meeting,
With the funding,
as was presented.
Yeah.
Adopt the fiscal year budget funding.
may I ask a question of clarification?
And I'm sorry, I just lost everybody. I'm sorry about that.
When you're, I want to ask a question of clarification.
Looks like you're.
Hold on. Sorry about that. There we are. Okay. I'm sorry. So adopt the fiscal year budget for the MTSRN as presented during the June 2026 MSL Commission meeting. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded that we accept or that we adopt, take out accept again, I'm sorry, adopt the fiscal year budget for the MTSRN as presented during the June 2026 MSL Commission meeting. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I have a question of clarification. First, I really want to thank McKenna for cleaning up that mess and helping with it. You sure did a good job. This is the budget, including what's happening with nothing that if we pass this budget, nothing we do interferes with the one we just passed, correct?
I'll see you.
I think it needs continued funding until you figure out the
What we're doing.
legislative bill.
Good.
There's nothing you're gonna do until the session.
Until
And then you have to wait till after session, governor side, it's all that kind of fun, so it's gonna have to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna support this because I do think we have to fund these folks so they can continue working. I just want to say I'm really proud of our staff for coming forward with this and helping us with this change. I know we're not the first group within the library, or within the whole system of Montana government that has said to the legislature, you directed us to do something that's unworkable. And we don't want you to direct us anymore to do that. I know we're not the first to have done that, but it might be a first for us. And I think that's really positive to have had that courage to come out and say, you directed us to do it, we gave it our best shot, but it doesn't work. And it might help the legislature realize they can't just direct us to do things. So thank you for all this process.
Yes. Is there any further discussion?
Has it been seconded?
Yes, by Peg.
Okay, so no more further discussion. Is there any public comment? Okay, if not, we will go ahead and vote on the motion, which is to adopt the fiscal year budget for the MTSRN as presented during the June 2026 MSL Commission meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, it has been, so the motion, sorry, to adopt the fiscal year budget for MTSRN to adopt the fiscal year budget for the MTSRN as presented during the 2026 MSL committee meeting has been passed. All right. Okay. Everybody, we're going to continue on to discussion and information items. Does anybody need a break real quick, or should we just keep on going?
We have time for a break.
Okay, we'll take a break for 5 minutes. Let's get back at 10:20. Okay?
Nothing else, just to stand up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Our next discussion, okay, is, let's see, the continuing education course options to teach an alternative worldview opposed to the standard Masters in Library Science curriculum. Tom Burnett, you were going to give us a little bit of presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a handout here and I can email it to our staff so it ends up on the record after the meeting. I'll hand it out now to the participants in the room.
Yep.
Thank you. Welcome. So,
Would you make sure, please, that it gets emailed to me, someone?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
The issue is there's a prevailing point of view on the ideological spectrum that is sometimes manifested in library collections and acquisitions. And this concern, at least to me, because libraries should be a place of viewpoint pluralism. And I would hope that our continuing education courses could include some materials that bring up this concern and offer the librarians in Montana training opportunities to see things in a different light and a contrasting view. So the handout I passed out is called Resources for Library Trustees and Librarians About Viewpoint Neutrality. And I simply scanned through a Substack called Heterodoxy in the Stacks, which infers that there may be an orthodoxy that needs some variety. I'll describe what the Heterodoxy in the Stacks calls their mission. Heterodoxy in the Stacks explores developments in the library and information sciences field in which there are diverging perspectives. This Substack came about from conversations within the Heterodoxy Academy, Heterodox Libraries community. We realized that it was important to share issues with library science with a broader audience. And then there's some bullet points. We feature posts from library workers across North America on a variety of topics relevant to libraries, intellectual freedom, and viewpoint diversity. Bullet point 1, censorship and book bannings. Point 2, library neutrality and impartiality. Bullet point 3, the future of libraries in the current political landscape. Bullet 4, personal reflections on librarianship and professional practice. Point 5, investigations into library orthodoxy and alternative viewpoints. Point 6, so-called conspiracy theories, misinformation, and disinformation. So this Substack encourages guest posts from library workers, students, instructors, and patrons in the spirit of viewpoint diversity.
Would you repeat them?
Repeat what?
The 5.
The 5, there are 6 bullet points.
Yeah.
Did you need those?
I would like banning was one.
These are the post categories that they feature. Censorship and book bans. Library neutrality and impartiality. The future of libraries in the current political landscape. personal reflections on librarianship and professional practice. Fifth, investigations into library orthodoxy and alternative viewpoints. Point 6, so-called conspiracy theories, misinformation, and disinformation. So that's a recommended Substack. And the handout is simply a list of, I guess they call them stacks in the Substack world, posts that I called out as a possible resources that could be used by staff to create 1, 2, or 3 courses addressing my concerns. For instance, one of them was called Comment on, quote, 7 Theses Against Viewpoint Diversity, end quote. And this author was taking issue, arguing against the writer of 7 Theses Against Viewpoint Diversity. One of the titles is called Neutrality as a Service, Libraries in the Attention Economy. And I have read that article in full. One is pertinent to archivists. How archival digitization fosters viewpoint diversity and enriches academic life. Those are a few highlights of these several dozen posts from which curriculum could be developed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Is there any discussion or any questions for Tom?
So how do you envision us taking this to the CE committee? Like asking that maybe a course involving this be presented as an alternative to what we're doing? Is that how you're seeing it? And would Tracy and Coley and would they put together just this material's out there, so they don't have to recreate they don't have to recreate it. They just have to gather it up, bring it in and see if there is I think there's a place for this in our study. There's a place to have the other side presented because they are getting the one side. Once we found out that we have already approved that certain letter or articles from the one company we had offered these opposite materials, then this would be good to offer them. So is that how you're envisioning this? Help me understand what's to the community.
Well, Madam Chair, and maybe I'm not a curriculum developer, but there are textual analysis tools out there which could scan these articles. I'm not sure that would need permission from authors, separate question, but if it was available, those textual analysis tools could, with a prompt from our staff, say, here are 3 courses that I can invent from this material. And then they and us, we could evaluate the validity and the neutrality thereof, the value of courses that those large language models could come back with. It need not be super expensive. So that's just a wild idea as a way to approach this content and turn it into coursework for librarians and trustees. The tools are quite powerful.
And needed. we talked last time about what need there is to keep the trust of the public in the libraries by presenting a balance. And this would be a way to do that. We found out that the lift courses were loaded with quite a few of the other side, you know, the one course doing the work of external and internal race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So they have a lot of those kinds of programs, so it would only make sense if we could develop something to offer that just maybe gave the other viewpoint and would improve the group.
Madam Chair and committee. I'll give an example of the lack of viewpoint diversity. So I analyzed 60 titles of recently purchased nonfiction in one of our state's public libraries through using a ChatGPT. And I gave it a prompt to evaluate for ideological content. One would be very progressive, two would be moderately progressive, three or no rating would be, this is cooking radishes and has no ideological content. Four is moderately traditional, five is very traditional. And it analyzes very easily and gives its reasons for each title that it analyzes. And it was quite thorough and valid. And I even checked it with Claude, another large language model. Well, this particular sample of 60 recently purchased nonfiction books judged 16 to have ideological content of those types. And 15 of the 16 were of one side. So they ran 15 to 1, or 94% lopsided. I ran the same test on approximately 500 titles from a large metropolitan area's library, and got the least lopsided ideological slant of any test I've put to the robot at 64% versus 36%. So there is a documentable difference out there in library land that needs to be brought to the attention of our responsible agents.
So who's ordering these books, Tom? This is the head of the library section. Like the non-person is ordering these.
In a larger library, there'll be 2 or 3 people involved.
In a small library, it would be one.
Would be the director in a very
Yeah.
tiny library,
Yeah.
would be picking library books.
Probably doesn't have much money to do that. I wish Jenny was here to ask her how the staff would feel, but I think this is excellent. And I think that at a time when people are asking for just transparency, they're not asking for bias, they're not asking for book burning, they're not asking for, as Carmen says, nobody's talking about taking a book away. They can get it on the internet. They can get it at a million different sources on computers. We're not talking about that. Just the limited ability that libraries have to purchase certain books. I just can't imagine there wouldn't be staff members interested in such of a course. So what's the next step, would you guess? I guess it's hard. Should we put this on hold till we talk to Jenny or what?
Well, Madam Chair, this is just a discussion.
Right.
It's not an action.
It's not.
I don't have a motion,
No, I know.
but it's something that is definitely within our wheelhouse.
And it certain could be a CC credit or CE credit.
Is your committee have regular meetings?
Yeah, we meet when there's something like this, and we are waiting
so
right
that would
now.
be a topic.
And we are waiting to have a meeting because there's a problem with the new courses, getting them with something with the computer system that's doing it, is not handling it, so. We have to meet again. Right?
Doesn't have what, Tammy? What is it?
There's something that that is making it very difficult to get our computer system that a lot of the librarians use to get the new CE credits. You know,
Logged?
logged and figures out. And so
I see.
they're working really hard to kind of, and that's why we don't have a report for you today on adding new classes, because we are probably gonna be doing that every report, but not today. And Tracy will be better at that, and I think, is she reporting this afternoon or not?
Tracy, are you online, Tracy? I think she is.
She,
Online. Yep. We have been
yeah,
working on the transition of the software. And I think the next step is just to see Tom's handout and review it and talk about the process. And then it would go through the CE proposal form, just like any other coursework.
Okay.
And then that would be brought to the CE subcommittee and then to the commission from there.
Okay.
That helps.
yeah, that helps a lot. I couldn't remember what the problem was with I understood it when I read it, but it's gone.
Yes, it's just the sheer amount of courses that needed to be entered into MSL Learn and then changing over to this new system.
Great new picture.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a couple of observations.
Yes.
I think we do have a framework in place. We adopted that policy for new courses to be added. And so utilizing that policy to create any new courses and have them added to the catalog, making sure that the new courses are consistent with the policy's intent and the policy's definitions will be important. The other aspect of my memory was that the commission removed a number of those courses from the catalog that had content that was found objectionable or found consistent with.
Okay,
the policy.
we didn't remove them. We just removed them to be reviewed, correct? Am I wrong there?
You're right. Yeah, I
Yeah, okay.
overstood. It's a matter, they
Okay.
weren't approved. They were held in.
Right,
limbo,
in
so
review.
under
Right.
Reconsideration by the
Sure. The
committee.
committee.
I think, before we start labeling one side or another side,
Yeah,
need to make sure that we don't have items in the catalog that need to be balanced or counterbalanced. I prefer that the commission adhere to the policy that we maintain that balanced content within the catalog, and if something is not serving Montana's libraries, that it wouldn't require us to identify particular ideologies or sides. It would actually just be the content information focused to serve librarians and library boards. So just a thought to make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves.
But
right. And one quick second. And I agree with that. I was having a little problem with the side terminology, and I can see that term being used, but it is, I don't feel that we should say one side or another side. So yeah, go ahead, Tammy. Did you have something?
Well, we did find out when and Chris is absolutely right, that is the process and that is the hope. But we did find out in our last meeting that many of the lift courses, which were built into our approval without us, we should have been more conscious of this. Many of the lift programs actually did have content, like I was giving you, the internal and whatever external use of justice and social justice and diversity. They were in there, they weren't even camouflaged, and we found out they were already part of our system. If we cannot correct that, Chris, then we have to balance it. So that's what we're working on. And I don't know if we can correct that because it seems like that's where we're getting most of our information. So if we can't correct it, we'll balance it. If we can correct it, we'll correct it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So what we've just heard is a call for balance. And this material is all in support of instructing as to balance.
out of him.
So it's not, it does not portray one side of the worldview divide as positive or negative. It's just a call for balance. And that
I
would be
see.
the purpose of the instruction.
Madam
Would
Chair,
be
where does the library science master's degree come into this? I see that in the agenda item, but it's Commissioner Burnett, with your presentation, I didn't hear that part of it.
Thank you. I'd be glad to address that. So there's a perception that the MLIS degree and the MLS degrees tend one direction. And so that's how that terminology got into the agenda.
And the committee and the commission, Chair, just to follow up, the committee and the commission handled that issue with regard to the master's degree in ensuring that the degree was recognized for a certain number of continuing education credits, but that the expectation that there would be completion of Montana focused content within a certain number of years after recognition of that certification through the degree. So I guess thanks for that clarification. Didn't quite understand the portion of that. As I think I've said at a number of other meetings, having been a recent graduate of the Master of Library Science, Library Studies program, 2023, I didn't encounter any particular worldview being promoted as part of my degree completion. I was able to retain my independence of thought, independence of perspective when interacting with my fellow students and ultimately with the fellow librarians here in Montana. So I personally didn't encounter that.
Thank you.
I'd like to share any additional details about my experience with this program, because I did with the committee a couple of months ago.
In your research, did you find the MLA, you have quite a strong input into that degree? Is that what you're saying it did or didn't?
The ALA is the accrediting body for university degrees
For all of them?
in this field, my understanding.
During my time with the University of Wisconsin-Madison, they were in the process of renewing their accreditation. And so there were a number of sessions with the ALA accrediting committee visitors who attended those courses, watched the courses, ensured that the content was being delivered, and they asked students to participate. So I attended those meetings and provided a student perspective, was able to give them feedback, especially from Montana, that's wasn't present on campus, but completing an online degree. Those questions that they asked me were about the content of the courses related to effective librarianship, ensuring that patrons' needs were being satisfied, that the collections were being managed appropriately, that the instructors were respecting the viewpoints of all students, and that the degree was being completed in a timely manner, and that the student felt equipped to enter into the profession or continue in the profession in a higher leadership capacity. And so having been around government in Montana and different branches and being around policymakers in my career, from the time I was in college, I had a pretty good antenna for accusations or indoctrination and attempts at trying to sway people. And I didn't encounter that, and I was able to, like I said, provide that Montana perspective, and was comfortable that the degree that I was paying for was valid and was equipping me to pursue this profession. And so that experience, going through an accreditation process at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the third ever accredited library school in the United States by the American Library Association. So there's over a century of tradition there. And based on that continued renewal process that I was able to observe, I didn't experience any attempts to tell me what to think. And like I said, I would have had a pretty strong pushback on that. I was paying university, a reputable university, to learn librarianship and not to be told what to think. So that experience gives any clarity to the commission. I'd be happy to share more about it at a future time or one-on-one, but it was a positive experience. I'm proud to have that degree.
Okay, any other questions or discussion?
I'll take that to the CE committee and we'll look at it.
Okay,
Look at the heavy there.
I'm sorry, Tammy.
Nothing. I'm making noise here. I'm looking for a migraine pill.
Sorry if I get in. I tend to do that.
Oh, you do.
Ask the people who live with me.
I'm just quickly checked on with AI too, that other professional accreditation organizations also provide to law schools, American Bar, commissioned nurses, so businessmen. So I think it's pretty standard practice to do that accreditation with their professional organization.
And Madam Chair, just to provide another observation, I'm currently dealing with Helena College with the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities, and dealing with Helena College's accrediting process and the work that we do to try to make sure that in our area, the librarianship, and making sure the librarians serve students, make sure students are prepared for their career path, make sure that they have confidence in their alma mater and their degree, and that the instructors are delivering consistent with the standards and the content as we deal with in any accrediting process, making sure that the body is doing what it's said it's going to do, consistent with the standards that have been adopted. And so those examples are interesting.
And you felt like you had a good course selection and you could avoid those courses if you chose.
Well, there weren't really any courses. I was just looking at my files from that time in school, and the courses that I completed. It's management of academic libraries, management of public libraries, collection development, the data analysis, ensuring that I took a government documents course. I took a 1-credit genealogy course that was really learned a lot about my ancestors through that. Budgeting, leadership, standard courses on each of these type of topics that we're just very focused on creating the best possible librarians to serve each and every patron. And that was what I took from each of those courses. So it was a positive experience.
Sounds like they're straightforward. The courses, yes.
Thanks for that comfort. I analyze the new acquisitions at one of our state's colleges libraries, and it runs very strongly in one direction. Very strong.
For all degrees, or?
This is the new books they put out. This is what we displays in the rotunda in the common gathering areas.
I see.
I think what we're trying to address is the reality that the public perceives that libraries have very much gone in one direction of philosophy. And they're seeing it themselves, whether the libraries are big or whether the libraries are small. And we're trying to figure out how we can rebuild that trust by finding a way ahead with it. And, you know, I'm so relieved with what Chris shared. But we're responsible for a lot of libraries, and overwhelmingly out of the 118, I'd say very, very few are headed by the Masters of the Library Association. So somewhere there's a breakdown, and somewhere, I guess, my guess would be that Tom just hit the nail on the head. It starts with the university libraries and what they're choosing. And what they're choosing to put in their libraries is going to give a hint to what they're teaching their students. So it's a huge question. And I don't know how much we can, it's like a hurricane coming down the road. And what can you do to blow some of the wind sideways? And I think this is a good little place to start, where at least we can do what's within our realm. And that is give the librarians an opportunity to take a class that explains how important neutrality is to their existence and their future support and their funding. It just is. It's a reality no one wants to talk about, but it's about time. Because otherwise we're gonna lose them. We're gonna lose them. And
Sure, just a couple,
so that
couple of
would
other.
be a nice way to start, and I thank Tom for giving us a practical way to do this. This is a nice way to start.
Final,
Yes,
uh,
go ahead.
Commissioner would have to provide the prompts that you used to glean that information, which platforms you use, and interested one of the works that we do at the college with students is prompt development and how the responsible use of AI, similar to our discussion with the chief of AI that came in a few months ago, and how prompt development can yield different results. So I'd be curious just what your prompts were. And then I think the commission has the opportunity to start to rebuild trust in libraries. And we have continuing education for librarians and library boards. The last time we talked a little bit about engagement with citizens. And one of my focuses as a librarian is not just on patrons that we have, but potential patrons. Patrons that aren't using the library. How do we engage and reach out to those potential patrons and ensure that they're utilizing the library services? So the commission's continued focus on citizen engagement is one that provides an opportunity for to provide leadership on restoring faith, and that outreach is critical. So continued discussion on how to do so is something I'd be glad to support and help participate in.
Thank you. All right. Anything else concerning this topic or this information?
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's go on to the standing reports. Everybody had the information in the packet. Go ahead. And Tammy, you wanted to discuss the staffing memo?
I did, thank you. The staffing memo referred to, and I have to bring it up here, that our HR person, Sharon, who's, we don't do anything when people leave, do we? Thank them or bring them in or whatever?
She didn't want anything, which is sad. I would like to have said goodbye. Yeah.
I would have liked that. Okay, well, anyway, I would like to, and I think that Melissa answered the question. I wanted to pursue that was one of the positions that the Department of Administration had said we couldn't do collectively with them. And I wanted to pursue that we did not replace that position until we had talked with them about the possibility of doing it as a collective state EHR person. And it sounds like Melissa commented we are already pursuing that. So I would just like us to have clarity on what happened there. So that might just be a report, and very timely, Melissa's here.
Right.
What page are we on with that?
Okay.
After that, okay, thank you.
I have one more question. Are we replacing Jim I'm not sure how I'm sorry, the government information librarian? There's no replacement of that, Melissa?
Yeah, the position is
Of him?
vacant. The position is vacant right now, and we will replace the position, but it's sort of on hold as the HR position is vacant.
I
It's
see.
a heavy lift, and so we're just waiting.
He was there a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah. So the HR person would have to help with that. Okay.
I
And
see.
do we just need to ask that Jenny bring us an update on what's going on with the sharing of the HR with the Department of what's it? The Administration and the governor's office. Should we just ask that there'd be something Jenny bring us in October? Or do you see it being resolved before then?
I think you're talking about the HR integration.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's like a statewide thing that's happening.
Right.
And we are participating in that, just like every other agency.
Yeah.
I don't know that the commission needs updates on that.
Well, what we had first, I don't know, a year ago, Tom, you might remember, we had received something from the state that they asked us that there were certain roles that we could not continue, but instead share with the state. And that was one, and because we had someone in the role, we didn't want to move that far, but I'm suggesting maybe we do now. Is that your understanding?
But what I heard earlier in the meeting was that that has been discussed, but that the leadership here at this agency is considering a full position devoted to HR, not sharing, no melding with other agencies, no. So
The department, I don't know.
No.
I'm unclear on what you guys are saying, but the Department of Administration is taking the HR position from us. And that position will still support this agency, but it will be a Department of Administration position going forward.
Even they were doing that before Sharon was, because I thought we weren't doing anything till she left. But that was already happening. Sharon's been working for the Department of Administration.
The transition has not happened
Okay,
yet.
then that's a good time for it to happen.
So clarity. So this agency is not preparing to fill that position. Is that what I'm hearing?
The Department of Administration will work with this agency to fill the position at a later date.
Will this agency fund that position?
Yes.
So there's no sharing contemplated, no melding between agencies or a large HR function at the state that does shared resources is what I'm hearing.
I think that that's the intent of the Department of Administration and the integration. But I can't speak for what the final plan will look like.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I did a little exercise, again, using the modern tools. And I listed the MSL fiscal year 27 preliminary work priorities. And I prompted, this is the prompt. Examine each work objective below and report how much, what percent of the project can be done outright by AI tools. Then summarize. Put the summary in the beginning as an abstract and a fuller summary at the conclusion. And so the word processing file or word that I installed was, that was the prompt, and I fed it the information processing, drafting, coding, analysis, metadata, training, content, communications, reporting, and planning work. Field work, travel, governance, testimony, relationship building, inspections, negotiations, training, delivery. Okay, got it. And implementation work. To what degree can these different tasks be amenable to the tools that are coming available right now? A review of the 33 listed objectives suggests high AI potential for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tasks. that we've listed as our projects. Our
For HR.
metadata,
For HR.
I'm sorry to interrupt here, but I just had a quick, this is just kind of a meeting order question. For the purpose of the people taking minutes, I'd like to ask the chair, we're understanding reports? And is
Yes.
that
Where-
for this?
I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out where where this discussion fits. Tom, where does it fit under standing reports?
Commissioner Hall.
It's under Melissa's report.
I don't have a report.
What? Under under the staffing memo? Is that where it's coming, Tom, or?
Yes.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, that was where I thought we were. just
Okay.
to- With the focus on the separations of shared hardware, I think is a broader discussion, Commissioner Burnett is attempting to talk about how that position goes.
Great, thank you.
and other positions. So these tasks are work priorities on our dashboard: metadata cleanup, website content development, dashboard development, report writing, planning documents, training materials, certification administration systems, catalog maintenance, and many software development projects have a high AI potential in the range of 70 to 95%. And then there's a moderate GIS modernization, workshop planning. That's 40 to 70% applicable to the tools, and low AI potential, giving legislative testimony, visiting libraries, stakeholder working groups, the face-to-face things, customer acquisition, that probably is going away because that's pertaining to the MTSRN. Coalition building, activities requiring trust, persuasion, travel, physical implementation. Those are low AI potential, 5 to 35%. So from a fiscal point of view, I would hope that we could, in a future meeting, see what AI tools are being used, a list of those tools, and how they're being used, and plan ahead so that when we have vacancies to a task such as HR, and I ran a separate one of these for HR yesterday, and it said more than 50% of the task.
Okay, but Mia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you've got to look that the state is in relation, is taking over the HR position, even though it'll be an HR, possibly be an HR person for us. It's the state that is in charge of this, correct, Melissa?
Yes.
Yes, so we can't tell the state I mean, we can't say, state, you keep your note. I mean, I don't think that we have the authority to do that, Tom, do we?
I think what we're saying here is that we could let the state know that we believe our position for HR could be funded as a half-time person, with them handling the other half with their IR. It doesn't have to be a full-time.
I don't think they're gonna go.
They're not.
They will not.
I don't.
So why did they ask us to share the person?
I think they're consolidating a lot of stuff.
Right. And what is that?
Our agency is not the only one that's getting consolidated.
Right.
It's all the ones that are under the governor's office.
I have a hard time understanding what they're consolidating if they're still paying full for the person, giving us the money. And what's that? How is that consolidating?
I think it's to make it easier so no agencies alone in the HR realm and work. There's other issues that happen. That's why I think they all want it under DOA now. I can't speak for them.
Yeah.
This is just my assumption. I think that we should maybe get someone from DOA if that's the case, and we can ask them this question
Yeah.
at the next meeting. I
Yeah.
think we should table this and tell
I
them
think
if
so.
everyone's good with that.
Yeah, I really thank you on that.
Yeah.
One thing I'll just put out there is a website, centralization.mt.gov, if you'd like to, that's put out by Department of Administration. So if you want information directly from them about their intentions with the centralization process, that's available.
That would be great.
What's the website?
Centralization.mt.gov.
Madam Chair, Commission, I think the purpose, especially in HR, is to make sure you have consistent hiring. supervisory procedures to avoid claims of retaliation, discrimination, or improper hiring practices. And so having that consistency through centralization would be useful, but a lot of that could be problematic if you're relying on artificial intelligence that may not have the nuance of state regulations and state laws, state hiring practices. That could be difficult to defend against a lawsuit if someone didn't get a job asserting that they that the AI maybe messed up. And I don't know, small joke, but asking AI if AI can do a job is sort of like going to the barber. You're gonna get you will get a haircut if you go to the barber. So
Yeah, and we do have to remember that the state AI coordinator or lead head, whatever, has not given approval yet for what types of AI we can be using. Correct?
I think there's one AI that is approved for the state. I don't remember the name.
I'm sorry,
There's-
McKenna. There's one what?
There is one AI program, I believe, that is approved by the state. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, I
And
see.
can't put in sensitive information, so things like that, but I believe there is one that is approved.
I see.
It's expensive.
Oh,
So as a general, a summation of some of my thinking is that as positions become vacant, that some of these things can, with the use of tools, be melded into other positions and other topics. And be taught, and we could reduce our staff over time by the implementation of these powerful tools.
The only issue with that is you take out some of the human touch in some of it, and specifically with HR, you need that human touch. If you don't have someone reading your resume, you're gonna miss a lot of people. I mean, you read articles right now, what's happening across the country for jobs when people applying. Because you just have an AI system putting them in the trash. So you have qualified candidates, AI, it doesn't have this keyword, so AI is just saying, nope, and kicking them to the curb. You do need a human touch in there. AI can't take everything.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
Let's, okay. Tammy wanted, I'm sorry.
We're still studying the HR person and we can find out in October how that's been updated. On the HR person.
I'm sorry. Your voice was kind of blurbing out there. Could you?
They're not going forward at this point with the HR person. Hiring them, they're working with the state and we probably can give an update in October where that process is.
Okay.
Right? Or did you want to build sooner?
No, this is, and it's basically up to the state. It's not up to us, from what I gather from what Melissa said.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's keep on going then. Tammy, you wanted to discuss the where is it?
It's under the budget presentation to the legislature. And on page 50.
The library resource study?
Yes, it was Montanans for Libraries.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it was on page. I'm getting my agenda here, thank you. I've got things in between the agenda pages now.
Okay, was it on?
It was on page 43, I believe, yes, it's on page 43 to 47.
Sure.
And
Or
it's
40,
Montana for Libraries on this one is 51. And they have quite a long presentation that I think they presented to us, and from the way this looks, I could be wrong. This is part of our presentation to the legislature. They are asking for an $8 million increase in libraries. And this has been given to the Education Interim Budget Committee Library Resource Sharing Study. I have no problem with the library, Montanans for Libraries presenting their own request to that legislative group as what they think should be given. I have serious problems if it was part of our presentation, as we have officially separated ourselves from them. We officially separate from them. They had Robin and Jenny on the staff. The contract to be won had expired, and we voted to continue not being part of them. And so I would not want to see the Montana for Library presentation after we've gone to such work to decouple from them. And that was done over a year ago. I would not expect to see us put them as part of our presentation to the library. I think they would have to do their own. So I'm just assuming, because it's in the Montana Legislative Branch report, that their report was included, and that gives the impression we're together, and we're not together. They are their own entity.
I think, Madam
Yeah.
Chair,
Yes, Peggy.
I think you're thinking of Montana Library Association, which is a different group
Right.
than the Montana for Library.
I'm not thinking of the Montana Library Group. I know it's different from that. I'm thinking of the group that had the foundation.
That's the foundation. Yeah,
Right.
that's the foundation. And that, yeah, we did separate. I'm not, the Montanans for Libraries. I'm not sure. I see that.
I'm just saying.
Melissa, do you have any idea who the Montanans for Libraries organization is? Who is that?
Madam Chair, the
Yes.
couple of observations here. First, it looks like this is a full packet from the education interim budget. So it looks like it's everything that the committee received.
That's what I was thinking, but it's also in the middle of our report. So I'm just asking.
So everything that's in that section is what was presented in the public hearing to this
Right.
study group.
Whether it came from us. or
And
from them.
this is just we are just reporting on what was happening in this study. So
Oh.
that commission can be up to
Oh.
Who
and no-
presented this? Was this Jenny or was this you?
the Montanans for Libraries.
No, this whole, who reported to the legislature on this?
It wasn't us. We didn't prepare that report.
I think she should ask as a whole, like who from, the
Who
state
from
library reported to the interim. committee.
The state library, so
Staff.
Jenny does the reports in legislative hearings.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And the chair is the one that directs and requests presentations. So if there's anything that Jenny presents to the legislative committee, it's at the request of the chair.
And they consolidate a lot of information. They do it at OPI as well.
Right.
So basically Jenny just presented the Montana State Library portion, which Tammy would be on page 58. This is just the whole report that was given between our state library, the Montanans for Libraries. They presented their own information. So they presented their own information for that. And it is just combined, the whole packet of information that was presented to the education department is just all together. And they shared that with us, correct?
Madam Chair, that's not my
Yes.
understanding.
We are assuming.
No, my understanding, by looking through this last night, the Montanans for Libraries had their requests. And then our staff addressed each of those requests and came up with dollars and and had an input on that. It looked like a very tandem organization, a very tandem presentation. That's the impression I got, but could be way wrong.
They had to get it from us.
So I think I understand what the confusion is here.
Okay,
All of these documents are on the legislative website. They were combined into PDF for this meeting because you all asked for that last time. Everything on I mean, I'll pull up all these documents are posted individually on the legislative website, as well as the hearing. You all can go back and watch.
but Melissa, what the question is did we address the Montanans for Libraries requests or points?
We responded to Representative Beatty and his requests.
I see.
Did he request that this agency do analysis on each point of the Montanans for Library proposal?
I can't speak to that because I was not a part of that. I'm not a part of this presentation. I don't know what the exact request was from Representative Beatty, but we can definitely have Jenny answer that question. Yeah.
I would just warn against us assuming that this was not done with our involvement. Many of the items in here sound like they had to.
We attend every meeting and we're involved and make presentations.
They would have had to. So I have two questions that Jenny can answer. One, was our staff involved in answering putting together some of this? Because it reads like somebody in our staff helped them with these facts. And second, does the committee know that this is a totally separate report, not from us, by us, just out there? We just have to know those two things.
Want to know if the education committee knows that Montanans for Libraries is separate from the MSL.
This was not our report. This was not approved by our commission. We did not include asking for the 8 million. And did our own staff have anything to do in preparing this?
Yeah, so any of the slides that are on State Library PowerPoint were prepared by our staff.
Right.
But I don't know if we're getting the quite, okay, so the Montanans for Libraries, Tammy is asking if that was prepared by our staff. The portion for Montanans for Libraries, that was not prepared by our staff, is what the no that I heard.
Yeah, from Melissa. We'll ask Jenny too.
Yeah, you better ask Jenny.
Okay.
We'd welcome you. All of this is public information and you're welcome to watch the hearings. All of these things are posted. All of the videos and the documents are all available online.
And this was on June 23rd. Is that what I saw? So we could go and look that up online under, if it took place on June 23rd with the Education Interim Budget Committee. Okay.
Yep.
Because we're not asking for an increase in money from the state legislature. I would not want a report somehow in the middle of our report that asks for 8 million to go out within ours.
The committee is very clear that the state library doesn't have any requests.
Right. So let's just make sure that the legislative committee got that.
Usually like with ours, we have our report and then there's outside groups. Yep, no, they're asking for money and everything. It's very clear during those presentations that it is who is asking for that and that it's not like OPI asking.
And all I'm asking is that was where it was placed in the middle.
I think it was just like the library staff and they compiled this for us. They just placed that in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was in the middle of the interim committee's report.
Thank you.
From Jenny.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
There's a lot of information going on with those meetings and they go through a lot during that time, I can say.
However, it gives the appearance of supporting that document.
Yes, it does.
I don't know the order of it in the actual, intern committee. I don't know if it was in that order or if that's just how it got put into our document. If that
And
makes
if that was just put into the document the way I
What?
see.
Content wise, it supports not just the sequence. It addresses it's content related.
Yes, but I think that's that group's argument for that. That's not library staff asking for that. I can't answer that part, but I can answer the rest.
Yeah. What you're addressing is the process and the
The
sequence.
process.
And what Tom's addressing is the content, which I appreciate because within this content of this group, it's just a little disconcerting that so many of the items that have been presented to us in the past for budget increase are exactly here word for word.
They probably go through.
And so they probably went
Online, we
online
have
and got
everything we
them.
use public.
And things we turned down before they just brought back, but that's fine. As long as it's clear, it's their document, not ours. That's all.
I'm saying most likely the intern committee knows that. I can't say for the general public, that I cannot answer.
We're having a hard time separating other groups, make it clear. We didn't know it clearly. It's very, very hard. ALA, Montana Library Commission, Montana.
The foundation. Yeah, the trust for, yeah.
And unfortunately, people mix them all up all the time, happens at my office.
Yeah, it's part
Every day.
It's part of the lack of transparency in the basic government bureaucratic system. You know,
And, yeah.
it just keeps
And
people off.
government loves their acronyms and the general public doesn't know. them,
Yeah, they
unfortunately.
don't
It
understand.
gets so confusing, trust me.
So thank you.
Roll all of it.
I guess the question I'd have is, if you're referring to our agenda, this shows up in our agenda with parentheses after saying this is a legislative fiscal division report. And it has Montana Municipal Libraries heading. So is there something else we could do? If you're concerned about the impression that someone looking at our agenda would have, we're providing this report to you.
Right.
For your information. If we're providing that kind of information for you, is there something else we could do?
No, I think the fact that it was presented right in the middle of our study, stuff before and stuff after it was kind of like, okay. So
That's
what
right,
I-
Evan. So yes, perhaps there is something that could be done to differentiate that information from the information that we presented to to Education Committee. So possibly saying that with me, I don't know, a disclaimer saying this is not the Montana State I don't know, something, but something that does differentiate. Wouldn't that clarify it, Tom?
Yeah, and as I'm hearing it, and I'll find out from Jenny, what I'm hearing, and especially with Montana's help, is that this is just could have been thrown in that way by the legislature.
Right. Just
And
put in there.
If that's the case, fine, but if that's not the case, you know, it's important that they know that's not us. So.
Madam
Right.
Chair, just one follow-up.
Yes.
So my concern has to do with authority. If our staff, if the MSL staff was serving the request of the private entity's presentation by providing analysis and input, that's improper.
I see.
Unless the legislative committee commanded it, but then that's extra budget, beyond. I'm just not sure that that committee has that authority to direct this agency to expend staff resources in support of that private document.
We couldn't have supported it in any way.
My guess is they didn't have, it could have been a library staff on their own time too. That I cannot answer, but I don't think it was directed by the intern committee for that document. I don't, that's not usually how it is. I could be wrong, so don't quote me, but that's not usually how it is for that. They might ask questions during that, but not direct us to do it after.
But it was prepared in conjunction.
Yes.
If they went out and used public information from the past and just filled it in that way, happy coincidence, they can do that. If they came to our own staff members and asked and got input improper. So. We'll just ask them. Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question, Tom? I mean, at least
No.
we gotta ask Jenny when she's back. Can we put that down, Robin, as something to ask Jenny
Yep.
to have?
Yep.
October?
I'm writing that down right now for our directives to staff. Okay, is there anything else from the standing reports that anybody has? I'm not going to pull them out individually, so is there anything else that someone wants to discuss? If not, we'll go on to our goals and objectives. We're going to review the meeting motions and directives to staff to confirm commission intent. So one of them was the Montanans for Libraries clarification of staff involvement in that in that document. Correct?
Mhm, thank you.
Okay, was there anything else that we wanted Jenny to address?
Just let us know that the legislature understands that that group is not part of our group nor presenting anything we've approved of. I imagine the Library Association asked for stuff too, wouldn't you? Maybe not.
And well during the session.
What's that?
Would the Library Association ask for something during, would they go there for funding or?
Montana's for Libraries is registered as a doing business as Montana Library Association.
Oh, they're, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Robin, Chris said that Montana's for Libraries is registered kind of
Or
as
MLA?
as MLA, so that's that.
Sure,
It's different.
sure.
Well,
It's
You have the Montana Library Association, which is 900 librarians. You have Montanans for Libraries, which is based in Kalispell. And that is people who are concerned about the health of public libraries and advocating for their well-being. It's an activist lobbying group that supports individual libraries. They used to come to this agency and feel like we were on the same page.
was that the foundation?
That's the foundation in Kalispell.
So they've changed their name?
No, it was always that, Montanans for Library. Well, no, they might have changed the name.
It
actually.
was it was Montana or Foundation for Montana Libraries, perhaps?
That's right, sorry.
So it's not just a political lobbying arm of MLA.
No,
Okay.
but they may have set themselves up that way since we don't
Yeah,
know what they do.
It sounds like they might have registered from what you were
I just
saying.
looked on the Secretary of State's website.
So it sounds like they registered as a lobbying.
MLA,
It's
or,
Montana,
Montanans for
The second
Libraries.
one, yeah.
Montana Library Association.
That's an MLA.
But they
Not the
used guys,
Montanans for Libraries, are they on the site?
yes, as their lobby group.
It's an assumed business name on the Secretary of State's website. Montana's for Libraries
Sorry, I missed that.
is signed as the Montana Library Association. So there's those paperwork you can.
They're the lobbyist form, so we definitely want that separated. It's really hard, and I understand, because I had trouble. It's very hard to keep those separate in the mind of the general public. The Montana Library Association, the Trust for Montanans, the Montanans for Trust, and the Library Commission. So it's confusing. We just want to make sure we do our part. And our part is saying when we testify, this is us and what we're testifying. None of the rest of this is us. So
So do you want that made clear the next time Jenny goes up?
absolutely, even if always,
Okay.
always,
That
Okay,
makes-
so clarify.
always make that clear.
Mon-
Because we're gonna have to retrain people.
I'm teaching you acronyms.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I equated the Trust for Montana Libraries with Montanans for libraries.
So the groups.
So,
They probably are the trust for them too, or the lobbyists. They try
Okay.
both.
so what do we want, what are we asking Jenny to clarify then? The Montanans for libraries are
Separate.
from
MSL.
us. Okay, yeah, we got that. Okay, I got that.
And
Okay,
none of our staff gave them input.
right,
They used it publicly from our. end.
sure. Okay,
We'll say as we are required when there are public information requests, we are required to fill all of that over. Just an FYI, I do it on a daily basis.
It sounds like a lot of paperwork.
It is.
Yeah.
yes.
But it's all about government transparency. It's important.
It's all important to learn this stuff. I know it seems petty and I know it seems frustrating, but we've really learned a lot today. And that's the whole process. We can't be transparent. We don't know.
Right. Okay, is there anything else we wanted Jenny to clarify then? From earlier in the,
She's gonna realize how important she is when she comes back and all this is.
well, I told her to be a bad jurist, but I don't think that worked. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that on a public meeting. I don't mean it.
I
Okay.
want a gift, but I've been rejected several times.
The best way
Oh,
to not get picked is to try to get picked.
right. Okay, all right, so we need to review and prioritize agenda items for the October business meeting, which is October 14th, 9 a.m. at the Miles City Public Library in Miles City. Tom would like to have, Bethany Mandel. Oh geez, Jenny just texted me. She was selected for the jury. Sorry, I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing with her. Let's see. So Bethany he would like to have her be a presenter, an informational presenter. He thought she was from New York State, and it's about library safe for children, viewpoint diversity. And Tom says that she was approved in the last meeting, but then for the last meeting, or I'm not sure, at the last meeting, Tom? And then she
Yeah,
got
so-
moved to this meeting, but was replaced by the mental health person who then canceled. He's asking that the commission give priority to her presentation in October, pending her availability. Is that all right with everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, will that presentation have a Montana component or is that be New York focused?
Madam Chair, that would have kind of a national focus. Let me read a little bit about this Bethany Mandel.
Okay.
She is the author of School and Youth and a contributor to the Washington Examiner and the New York Post and other outlets. She has recently written about library legislation before the U.S. Congress. That would be applicable. So I would hope that she would have perhaps a 20-minute slot at the October meeting, by Zoom, of course.
I would like to hear. In fact, safety in the libraries is one of the biggest things we heard at that library commission meeting we held at the ALA. They all kept saying we're about what's going on in our libraries. They were quite open about that. And needing help.
Okay. Yes, we did hear that. Okay, so Tom, should we direct Tom to go ahead and contact Bethany Mandel?
Yeah. You need a motion, you can just do it. It's not an action item, so.
It's not an action item, yeah.
And which she was on before.
Pardon me?
I think she was on the last meeting, but we bounced her. We bounced her for somebody who didn't come.
Well, for this meeting, yeah. we put her to this one. Okay. All right, so go ahead, Tom, you can contact her. Okay, so are there any suggested future agenda items?
Madam Chair, will the mental health presentation be rescheduled? Can it be? That
I'm
goes in hand.
sure, yeah, I'm sure that Jenny will try to get that rescheduled. There was no, in the email back that we received back from the mental, Miss Peel, there was no reference to when she could come back. So I'm sure Jenny will do that. So I'll ask her about that to be for sure. Mental health person, okay. Is there anything else that for suggested items? Oh, were we going to see about a further legislative report or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever comes up with that.
We're always gonna hear on that now.
Yeah, okay. Is there anything else that we would like on our future, on the agenda in Miles City?
Madam Chair, last meeting I had requested an overview of the use of state library information for private apps regarding land ownership and access. And I'm not sure if that has been placed on the under consideration for the Miles City agenda, but just to reiterate that request.
Okay, so overview of the use of the state library of private land use.
The private land ownership and access through private apps using.
Oh, that's right. Through private apps. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, and then Carmen was going to do this one, but she wasn't able to do it. The viewpoint diversity. We'll ask if she wants to do that still next time. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the 2026 commission goal status. I was just going to say, fulfilling my role as the chair for the third year, I don't want to become stagnant in this position. And I wanted to know, you all to know that I'm willing to fulfill any requests or suggestions that you ask of me during the year. Does anybody have any suggestions on how I can improve? Or how we can improve our commission?
Thank you to you for being there.
I'm glad that you are there.
Although I stumble through.
Wherever you are today, thank you for being there.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
I want to thank you too. You're very organized and you run these meetings well, and I feel like you've taken the training that you've had and really took off with it. But I'm still confused myself as of the subcommittees, and I noticed the budget committee was posted and that we had more of a formal report. Is there, like, I'm on the personnel committee and I know that involves Jenny's evaluation, which is more of an executive function. What's the subcommittee role and how should we be doing that properly?
Okay, that is a good question and all the way across the board, perhaps for all, like, okay, the finance committee, the CE committee.
How can we use those subcommittees more effectively?
Sure. Okay, Chris, could you maybe think about giving us a little presentation on how we should appropriately handle our committees?
I'd be glad to, based on the commission's
bylaws and
discussion last meeting about the bylaws. And
yes. Let's fulfill what we decided on at the last meeting concerning Yeah.
I'd be glad I'll review that 5 minutes at the next meeting and then we could have a discussion. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
well, after that, thank you, Chris, for doing that. I do have a concern I'd like to share at the end of this. For almost 5 years I've been on this, we have had the assistant person, the executive assistant for us sitting here taking minutes, and then she would post up on the thing what the motion was. We could all read it. And it was a very, very important part of the process. Now, I understand that it became unworkable over the last couple of hires, because we had we had two bad hires. We had somebody who was hired and said we waited the job for 3 months and she quit in a week. And then we had someone who could not fulfill that responsibility. But the person we have now is phenomenal. And I find it much, much more productive because I have 4 years of comparison to just 6 months of where it fell apart. That person sitting there, posting up there what we have approved so we can all read it. So you're not writing it down and then reading it to us and writing it down. We
Right.
could see what that person was doing. They could cut and paste quickly. They could show it to us. And then we knew exactly. It was so much more helpful. And I would really like to go back to that process. I think it was helpful for you too, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it was. It is difficult for me to, I'm not a shorthand expert and everybody rattling things off. It makes it rather difficult.
And I think it gives us discipline to direct her, and we look at the motion, and then if Chris wants to change, he says, okay, I'd like to change, and we, you have said in the beginning, although we have a policy, we make a motion and then we discuss it. You can, under circumstances, say, oh, it sounds like this motion is kind of up in the air. Let's have a discussion before we finalize it. And I think today was a perfect example of where we could have done that, had the discussion off of general.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
She would have been typing something like she used to do, saying, okay, we want this, and then we work from it. I would really find it.
No, I can interrupt you. You have bug.
Your
Bug right here.
bug.
Yeah, bug.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Yes.
spider, go with. Sorry.
Did not mean to interrupt. I was just.
No, it's
watching the
very.
video.
There was a spider?
Yes, and I sent it
Push
to
'em.
Tom.
Got it.
I sent it to Tom, he liked it, the spider was very happy with it.
Okay. So, that's something that I can discuss with, Jenny and Melissa. Perhaps we can figure something out there.
I would like to run it by the other people if they found that helpful. Did you, Tom?
Those motions do it better.
They work better?
I'm a very visual person.
Yeah,
I am too. I have a difficult time myself writing. Yeah, like I said, don't take shorthand and it's tough.
Well, like I wrote Melissa, third time's a charm, she is wonderful, so I think we could utilize her that way.
Can I ask a question about that? Rebecca? It sounds to me the request is to have the motions posted. The details of who does that, how it's done, are those other
It's
details?
always been
important?
that executive,
I understand, but
so I don't see why we need to change that.
the reason,
talk-
yeah.
I just, we hear the request and we will have that discussion.
Okay. Okay, that would be appreciated. Okay. All right. Any other suggestions for us, for me, for how our meetings can run more smoothly? Anything?
Great meeting, lots of input, lots of understanding,
Right. Okay.
clarity.
Okay. Let's go on to the subcommittee appointments. In fairness and in trying to pass around duties, I did ask a couple people if they were interested in keeping their subcommittee appointments. And I will tell you who the subcommittee members are now. So for the personal committee, it'll be Robin, Tom, and Peggy still. Finance committee, Robin, Tom, and Chris Goss. And then the CE committee, Carmen, Tammy, and still McKenna. We'll need to still discuss the negotiation group. Tom has said he would relinquish that if needed. I don't remember who all is on the negotiation work group, and that's something I forgot to ask Jenny, but we can always discuss that at a later date also.
Now Carmen was on the CE committee.
Yeah,
I
she said.
put her on there. Yeah, she's on there. Carmen, Tammy, and McKenna are on the CE committee.
She's really helpful. Good
Oh,
committee.
yeah, no, this is who is, yeah, I said CE committee, Carmen, Tammy, and McKenna. Okay? All right.
I blame it on my hearing aid.
Say what?
I blame it on my hearing aids. They must have gone away. And come back.
I forgot my megaphone or my whatever that thing is called my ear horn. I need my ear horn today. My family would tell me. All righty. We are almost completed here. Did Tom leave?
No, Tom is here. We've got
Okay,
him.
I will quickly go ahead. Is there any public comment on any matter not contained in this agenda and that is within the jurisdiction of the State Library Commission? Okay, seeing as there is none, let's go ahead. Is there any other business or announcements?
I'd just like to ask that if we are gonna decide and talk about carpooling to go to Miles City somewhere or through email or something. Set up.
Yeah, and Jenny was not sure about where we'll be staying, but we will send out carpool information and
Hotel. You can book-
lodging.
Because you can get a better price for all of us. Right, that one time we all went to the same hotel at different prices.
Yeah.
No, commissioners are expected to make their own hotel reservations.
Even at Miles City? I don't think.
What?
We didn't.
No, we decided that,
We didn't. We decided we couldn't because we all end up with different
right.
reservations and different prices. One time we all stayed at the same place at 3 different rates.
I don't have a problem with it anytime otherwise, but when we're going to Miles City, I think of it as a
Yeah.
group.
Yes.
I mean, we had a bad stay a couple times ago.
We decided previously that the library staff would make us lodging.
And that was something
arrangements.
that person used to help with.
We can talk about this offline.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be part of the public hearing.
But that was something that person helped us with a
Yeah.
great deal.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to, yeah, McKenna, I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that the August 2026 meeting of the Montana State Library Commission is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We will.
Only issue with having